social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
See the same people every other day, but we never say hey, cause we're never looking the way, or my face was in my notebook. We passed each other, didn't look. But these are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, overlapping side by side, big small towns. I see new people every day. Everyone's on their way, doing the things that fill their day. And I'm going places too, doing the things that I do with my time. We are the people of the towns, of the towns, the towns, of the towns. And large cities are just a bunch of big small towns, big small towns, diagonal, top to bottom, big small towns. Be nice to the people of the towns. Once in a while look around, cause what's going around's coming around. What came around's coming around. What's going around's coming around. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns. Big, 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 small towns. Word gets around in the big small towns.
Hey everybody, welcome to Downballot. We do the show live every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. Starting to get a little hot here in San Jose, but I'm doing okay. You can support this project at eplex.store. It's Patreon-like subscriptions there, or you can buy swag. You can also just, if you're a Patreon user and don't want to sign up for something new, you can, in fact, still just use Patreon. I'm Producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr.
Hey, Producer Dave, what's going on? This is the Councilman. You can find me, as always, at THE_Councilman on the Twitter, if it's still there. Feeling pretty good today. It is definitely hot in here, but I'm not going to be taking off all of my clothes. I may take a muscle relaxer of some sort. I'm certainly taking a sip of this hazy IPA. I've just taken a bong load of some very fantastic herbals, and I'm ready to get into the docket with you again, as always. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Well, that's great. let's get right to it because lots going on this week actually on the docket.
Let's go right to it. Leading off today, this is a story we're following up on because that's what we do here at Downballot. It should be our motto, other than the thing you heard before the theme song tonight. Concord High School, there were some concerns about them continuing on with the mascot of the Minutemen. There were some woke folks in the neighborhood who thought that they might want to think about changing that. But the anti-wokes appear to have won out. So the Minutemen will continue, and we're going to learn more about it from KTVU.
A decision has been made for the Concord High School mascot controversy. The school will keep its Minutemen mascot, even though some parents and students say it's offensive. The mascot is named after Revolutionary War soldiers, and its logo shows a man holding a gun. Now, a resolution to switch to the Bears failed to pass in a school board meeting Wednesday. The proposed mascot change would have reportedly cost at least $200,000.
Rar.
Boy, I sure am glad all those people from Concord who fought in the fucking Revolutionary War aren't having their memory dishonored by the name being changed.
I hope they don't feel like they're being erased. Now that's very good that they have been seen by the school board. I don't know what to say about this other than, when it comes to the push and shove between parents and students, or parents and activists, or parents in the broader community, or parents / alumni, parents are going to win out almost every time when it comes to school boards. They know where their bread is buttered. They know who votes in school board elections. It ain't the people that don't have kids. It ain't the people that send their kids to private school. It's the parents in their schools. So if they are upset, then they've got to be appeased, or you're not going to have your cushy little school board job much longer. So as much as we'd like to maybe see some movement in one direction, they're always going to be pulling in the other one. But that being said, is the Minutemen the most offensive of all the offensive mascots out there?
No.
Probably not, right?
No.
And even not even the most violent one, right? There's many, like the Sharks. I would say the Sharks logo is incredibly violent, right? When you think about it. So I don't know that a white dude from 200 years ago holding a musket that is not an automatic weapon, by the way, or semi-automatic. Takes like a minute to reload. I don't find that. I mean, again, I'm a white male, straight dude here in San Jose, but I don't find that as offensive necessarily as the next mascot.
I wonder who has a higher body count, sharks or white men with guns.
Well, honestly, I mean, they say that the accuracy on those muskets is dreadful, right? And like you see you hear about these duels where, like, I think Hamilton and Burr shot at each other like 2 or 3 times each, right before Burr finally hit Hamilton. So it's not as though that they're very accurate in the first place. So I would probably put my money on the shark, honestly. And you hear about shark attacks all the time. Maybe not with death involved, but certainly getting some chunk.
Oh, I would say white men with guns have probably a higher body count than sharks. Although, if we're only are we counting human bodies? Because if we're counting just all bodies, then yeah, sharks.
Oh, well, I was sort of thinking of musketeers, like specifically. If we're talking about all white men in history with guns, yeah, then I think that they've got more bodies on them for sure by a long shot. I'm just thinking the musket's really hard to reload.
Yeah. That's why that's why a lot of them had the sword at the end of them or whatever, because might be what you end up using.
The bayonet, yeah. And I'm sorry, I should not be laughing. It's not, but at the same time, that's sort of why we're here in the show. So
yeah, that's sort of
anyway.
Why we're here.
Exactly. So the Minutemen will keep marching on, and we will keep looking for the next mascot change, which is, I'm sure, coming to a school near you. So be on the lookout. Read your emails.
All right. Well, next we're going to winners and losers. This is the segment where there usually are no winners, but if anybody does win, it's usually who you don't want to win. Our first story is it's about California and potential reparations for Black Californians. Let's see what NBC Bay Area says about it.
California made history today. A state task force released its final list of proposed reparations for African Americans. The final report is more than 1,000 pages and includes more than 100 recommendations, from a formal apology to monetary compensation. NBC Bay Area's Scott Budman joins us now with a closer look at California's effort to atone for generations of racial disparity. And Scott, tell us more about the details in this 1,000.
When she said Scott Budman joins us, I'm like, Scott Budman's going to be like, I am here with a black.
Well, Janelle, after 2 years of discussion, the final report includes more than 100 specific recommendations, including recommendations on a formal apology from the state. But much of the discussion is centered around recommendations for monetary compensation. And while the report does not include specific dollar amount, it does contain a method to determine who would be paid if the state approves the plan.
I'm going to stay in the struggle until America is redeemed. And the day will come when all of us will be able to say, I'm black and I'm proud.
Pastor Amos Brown of San Francisco's Third Baptist Church was among those who spoke passionately about reparations to atone for past race-based disparities, housing discrimination, land seizure, and other harms done to black Californians.
And we're going to read, and we're going to make sure that our descendants will be able to consult this great document and see the evidence that this state has committed the crime against black folks, and it's time for them to pay their crime bill.
Effective today, we're making our brothers and sisters whole.
We have been on the battlefield fighting against principalities and things that we cannot see in order to force this system to do right by descendants of enslaved people for the generational harm that has been inflicted upon us.
While not specifying a dollar amount, the task force recommends monetary compensation to individuals who can trace their history to ancestors who were enslaved in the U.S. or a free black person living in America prior to 1900. The metric would provide an estimated $1.8 million to the state's oldest qualifying black residents. In total, the task force recommended more than 115 policy reforms.
So it is also my hope that the task force general efforts strengthen the movement for global reparatory justice for people of African descent.
The recommendations now go to the California legislature, who will decide what to approve. And Camilla Moore, the chair of the task force, who you just heard from, also addressed the fact that today's final report did coincide with the Supreme Court's decision to strike down race-conscious college admissions. Moore tweeted out today that the task force reparation recommendations are not race-based, but rather based on lineal descent. The legislature is now expected to begin discussing the recommendations in the coming months. Back to you.
So it wasn't entirely like you thought it was going to be going to Scott Bubman, but it was kind of like that.
Yeah, sort of. But I mean, I'm generally for reparations. I think that, if Germany was able to do it kind of lickety split right after World War II, I figure we could do it after all this time. I don't know what the answers are, but maybe it's not my job to decide that. Maybe these task forces are the people who are. It's their job to decide that.
Yeah, I mean, a 1,000-page document, nothing to sniff at, and I'm in your camp as well. I lean towards reparations being a good thing, and what those get figured out certainly should not be up to me. I do think that if after we get this done, right, we should also think about reparations for Japanese Americans who were interned during World War II, if we haven't already. Filipino Americans who were not enslaved, but certainly indentured through our colonialism. And really, if we really want to go there, we should really take a deep dive into American colonialism and see what can be done systemically to improve the quality of life, improve the future for the folks that we have colonized and subjugated. But I also, let's put aside the money is, I think, fabulous. It's life-changing. It's family-altering in some ways. But let's put that aside for a second and also think about the systemic policy and legal changes that could come from the recommendations that were made, and really think about how some of those are going to mean wealth or expanded opportunities for wealth over time, right, for African Americans and people of African descendants of slaves. So I think it's important to think about this holistically and not just simply focus on the dollar amount. But that's what the folks who oppose it are going to focus on, right? And try to say, oh, they're taking your money and giving it to, you white men. They're taking your money and they're giving it to the black people. Isn't that awful? Shouldn't they earn their keep? That's what you're going to hear as this is debated. The legislature, I think, could approve it. Frankly, we have a really strong Democratic legislature. But there's going to be a lot of loud voices out there in opposition. So we'll see what happens. But I'm hopeful.
And with the money, I think we're probably gonna, if the money happens, we're probably gonna see some pretty inspiring and awesome stories of what individuals decide to do with the money. I don't think it's gonna all be stories of paying off the credit card bill or buying a house. I think we're gonna see stories of people getting together, forming foundations to do charitable work. And so I think that the money is a big important part, and I think we're going to be pretty surprised by the generosity that happens subsequent to the money if we do see the money.
I think that's inspired, Producer Dave. I think that BET might have you might want to pitch them a reality show about this. Like they could do a weekly, just different story every week. What did you do with the money, right?
I'm the you can send some white guy around to ask what you did with your repreparation money. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't think it would be you going around. I just think you pitch them the idea. You make your reparations money. You walk away, and then you let someone go, like Spike Lee or whoever go out there. Okay, that's probably too easy for one, but
I do think
let Jordan Peele go out there and do it, right?
But I do think we're gonna see some pretty, if this goes through, we're gonna, and the money aspect of it is there. We're gonna just see some of the coolest stories of, four or five friends, get together and, prop up, completely fix a community center in their area, or put one where there should be one, or, start housing the homeless. I mean, we're going to see, art installations. We're going to see all kind of shit. It's not going to be just people taking the money and spending it on themselves. I can guarantee it.
I mean, a lot of folks will put it away too, like save it, invest it, right? That's really the idea of having wealth, right? Is to grow it over time, right? So it produces more wealth. That's why people have been able to dominate for so long, right? We just our wealth. We don't have to work very hard to accrue wealth and power.
Generational wealth,
right? So we're the self-proclaimed winners, but really we're the losers because we've been keeping other folks down for a long time. We've got these same folks can be winners in this situation, and we'll see if the losers in the state legislature will approve the largesse that is being and the recommendations that are being placed before them.
So our next story is surprise, surprise, the beautiful county of Santa Cruz, which has some of the most beautiful mountains, and if you get out of the boardwalk area, the beaches are pretty nice too. It happens to be expensive to live there, if you could imagine that.
No shit.
Yeah.
San Francisco has a reputation for being one of the most expensive places in the country to live, but it turns out not as expensive as Santa Cruz County. It just landed at #1 on the Out of Reach report. Now, it looked at the gap between wages and rent costs and found a person working a full-time job would need to make $63.33 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in Santa Cruz County. Okay, so just for reference, California's minimum wage is $15.50 an hour. So our Devin Feely has more on the trickle-down effect of the struggle to stay afloat.
At first blush, you say there's no way that Santa Cruz can be as expensive as San Francisco or Silicon Valley to live. But according to this new study, when you really look at what people earn versus what they're expected to pay in rent, Santa Cruz begins to stack up as one of the most expensive places in the Bay Area to live. It's clear why people come to Santa Cruz to live, but a new study by the National Low Income Housing Coalition makes plain why many struggle to stay.
Recently, I've noticed the prices have just gone way up.
Brianna Heredia is a recent Cal grad and an avid surfer. She loves Santa Cruz and spends as much time as she can in the surf. But back on dry land, she says she and her boyfriend struggle financially to keep their heads above water.
It was almost $5,000 for a 2-bedroom, which is just crazy, especially for people our age to try and even imagine affording something like that.
The coalition study found that Santa Cruz County narrowly edged out San Francisco as one of the most expensive and least affordable places to live in the state and country. In California statewide, the study found that renters would have to work almost 3 full-time minimum wage jobs to make rent for a 2-bedroom apartment. And that number was more than 4 minimum wage jobs for a single apartment in Santa Cruz.
There's a lot of low-wage workers that don't earn enough to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. They don't afford enough even to afford a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment.
Andrew Oren is the coalition's research director. He says the study is in many ways a pain index, and that more money spent on rent means less for everything else.
Low-income families that spend more than half of their income on rent, they spend less on food. They pay less, or they spend less on educational activities for their children. They just spend less money on other necessities just to be able to afford the roof over their heads.
Brianna says she's going to stick it out for as long as she can. Making the rent is tough, and the dream of home ownership, she says, is a distant ship on the horizon, ever receding with the tide.
I would love to live here. I would love to be able to buy a home here because I love it here and I want to surf every day. And to have a home here is like a dream of mine, but I don't know how I could make that happen.
According to the authors of this study, when it comes to people at the bottom rungs of the economic ladder, they say the math just doesn't pencil out for developers and property owners, and they say there's going to have to be some kind of meaningful intervention from the feds, the state, cities, or counties if you truly want to increase the supply of affordable housing.
So we looked into it. Agricultural workers moving to urban areas, a growing student population at UC Santa Cruz, the tech boom, and more short-term rentals may have all played a role in driving up prices. And here's a look at some other Bay Area cities the survey compared to Santa Cruz. Renters in San Francisco need to make $61.31 an hour. It'll take $56.56 to make rent in and around San Jose, $46.25 in the Oakland area, and $45.92 per hour in Napa.
That's wild, but I knew Santa Cruz was unaffordable. I mean, I know people who own houses there who are, you know, I know a guy who owns a house kind of pretty close to the like to Seacliff, and he was like, I could never buy this house like I did when I bought it. He's like, you know, he was like, on just an engineer's salary, he's like, I could never buy this house now. He's like, but back then wasn't easy, but it was, you know, he's like, I did it.
Yeah, it was Santa Cruz. It was like, oh, Santa Cruz, right? Yeah, it's time. That's different time and different world. So this is, it sounds like you said, it sounds surprising if you've been to Santa Cruz, and you've been around a bit. It's also like you have to think about cost of living too. It's not just the rent in Santa Cruz. Then it's like you know, you can't just go to get, you know, bread at the store, right? You got to go to the artisanal cupcake shop, right? And get like the $10 loaf of bread. So it's not as though other things in Santa Cruz are cheap, right? So it compounds. And yeah, the young lady's right. There's just no way people in her generation or ours, frankly, are going to be able to truly afford that kind of rent. I'm not making whatever $60 an hour or whatever they're talking about. I don't know about Jupiter's, Dave, but I know you're making an especially
good hour, sure.
Right. I mean, I know you're making huge dollars off of this show and all of the work we do on Echoplex Media, and we put in all the work you put in there. So, anyway, we'll see what happens in Santa Cruz. Hopefully, this is not a sign of things to come with just the affordability crisis spreading everywhere. But it is, and it's something we have to deal with. And local governments are going to have to get real about building more housing, because that's the only way we're going to, you know, it's the only way you bring down demand and cost is by producing more inventory. And there's just not a lot of inventory out there in the sale or rental market, and that's what's driving up the price. So there you go.
That, and there's a lot of properties that just sit vacant.
Yeah. That doesn't help either.
You know what they do in some European countries? They start fining the property owner for like not renting it out or living in it. Like if it's in a city, there's, you know, of course, obviously there's people who have vacation homes in places that the housing isn't like impacted because people just vacation there. But like in, you know, in some big cities in Northern Europe, you better rent that house out. You better rent that apartment out. You know what I'm saying? If you own it, you better rent it out or you're, I mean, I was reading somewhere that the fines were, you know, hundreds of dollars a day, or the equivalent of hundreds of dollars a day after a certain amount of time if you haven't rented your property out. And I think, you know, that's not going to solve the problem, but that might, you know, doing something like that here might relieve some of the pressure, you know?
Right. And it's really just these folks are sitting on it as an investment, right? They don't have to pay a whole lot in property tax probably because maybe it was in the family and they just had it for a very long time. And they're holding on to it because it's a solid investment, because property values don't go down over time. No matter if there's a boom or a bust, over the long haul, property values go up, especially in California. So they're doing a smart thing business-wise. But to that point, there are actually proposals, or there at least is a movement afoot in San Jose and other local cities to institute fines, laws like that. You know, anti-vacancy, boarded up window policies, right? Anti-broken window policies, anti-blight policies. So for residences and for businesses. So we'll see what comes of that, and we'll certainly follow up on down ballot when something does happen.
So, how it is on Twitter, right? I brought that up on Twitter, and somebody's like, what if you don't have the, the wherewithal to go through the trouble of being a landlord? I was like, you idiot. I'm like, don't you know there are companies that do that for you? Like, you give them a certain amount of the rent and they manage the fucking property for you. They're called a property management company. And if at all possible, if you're renting, you should find a place with a property management company, not a personal landlord, especially not a personal landlord who's very interested in the property, because those people are annoying. The property management company isn't gonna screw you over. They're gonna follow the law to the letter, and they're gonna be on top of maintenance, and because they want to have a good reputation on both sides, on the tenant side and on the capital side. But yeah, it's like, I don't understand. Like, if I had a house somewhere like that was just given to me, well, at first I'd probably just fucking sell it, right? Because I was like, somebody else should live in this and somebody should own this. But if I decided to rent it out, I wouldn't rent it myself. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to sign all the paperwork. I don't know that shit. I'd be like, where's a property management company? And I'd be like, hey, don't jack the rent up on my tenants, please.
Yeah, who needs all that headache, right? And plus, with the property management company, like you said, they're doing it right. Like, if they're going to come over, you probably get a call or a text or an email at least that says, hey, we're coming by in 24 hours to do whatever. Just letting you know. The
last one would call and say, oh, we need to come by within we're giving you 24 hours notice. And I would just say, you just come whenever. Because they were the maintenance people were just incredibly respectful and nice people, so I didn't care. But like, you get some asshole that owns the house and is like, no, I need to come by and inspect the house.
Oh, they just come. They don't even knock. They just unlock the door and walk right in. It's like, hey, excuse me. I've had that happen. Like, the landlord just walked right in. Like, I'm like, dude, I'm here in no, I'm not naked or nothing, but I'm sitting there in my shorts and, tank top or whatever. It's hot and I'm watching a baseball game and got my pork rinds out. It's like, I don't need that noise just walking right in. Like, at least knock and put some pants on.
And, most of the time, if you have a decent relationship with your tenants or whatever, they'll just, you'll be like, hey, I want to, I'm going to check the smoke alarms.
Yeah, come on by, dude. Replace them, please. I want to make sure I don't die.
If you have a decent relationship, you can be like, hey, actually, I've kind of got a date over. Can we do this tomorrow? Yeah. I'm entitled to 24 hours anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. A very decent relationship. Like, hey, can you put a smoke detector in this other room that you weren't going to do one? Like, I could use them. But bathroom. I smoke my weed in the bathroom. Is that cool?
No, smoke detectors generally don't detect cannabis smoke. Anyway, we've headed off into Narnia now. Let's get back into the Bay Area here. We have a community packed meeting on gang violence in Santa Rosa.
Yeah, as you can see, it's packed like to the gills. It's standing room only.
This is the 10 o'clock news on KTVU Fox 2.
A string of violent gang-related crimes involving teenagers in Santa Rosa leads to a packed house at a crime prevention meeting.
It's not a packed house.
The community responds.
We need to pull together as a community, strengthen this community, grow this community, and no longer pass the blame.
The meeting comes just hours after police announced multiple arrests in connection to 2 deadly gang-related shootings. Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Meeback.
And I'm Julie Hayner. Police say one of those suspects just 14 years old. New at 10 tonight, KTVU's Alyssa Harrington was at tonight's meeting. She joins us now live from Santa Rosa with the latest. Alyssa.
Well, Julie, Mike, there have been 5 homicides in Santa Rosa this year, 4 believed to be linked to gang violence. Tonight, city leaders and members of the public met to try to get to the root of this problem and come up with solutions.
And it was a wake-up call.
Gang violence was the main topic at a crime prevention meeting in Santa Rosa Tuesday night that brought together police, city council members, violence prevention groups, and concerned members of the public.
This is a tragedy that's bringing us here, but what I've seen from my experience is also a moment of opportunity for us, that we can come together.
Police Chief John Cregan said early prevention is one of the keys. The latest homicides involved juveniles. Over the past 10 days, 2 15-year-olds were killed. Teens as young as 14 were arrested, and both incidents appear to be gang-related. Earlier this year, on March 1st, a 16-year-old was stabbed and killed during a fight at Montgomery High School.
My heart is really filled with sorrow over the last 3 homicides that involved 3 of our children here in our community. And that's not okay. We all have a responsibility to work together.
Police made 7 arrests in these latest shootings and just announced the arrest of the alleged shooter in one of the cases, 21-year-old Kobe Benjamin from Santa Rosa. Lieutenant Christopher Mahurin said he fled to Las Vegas after gunning down the young victim in a parking lot of an apartment complex on June 16th.
Las Vegas Metro Police were able to locate that suspect and take him into custody. So he's now in jail in Las Vegas, waiting extradition to come back to Sonoma County.
The chief said they can't arrest their way out of the problem, so the city is crafting new violence prevention efforts. This includes having a full-time gang crime team and working with youth, schools, and parents.
Our staff have been out in the neighborhoods tracking graffiti as well to see what messages are being written out there.
Officials said some of the incidents start as fights on school campuses between rival gangs.
We've always had a gang issue, especially since the early 2000s. In particular, between Norteños and Sureños are the most common gangs that we have in Sonoma County. And again, those are the 2 gangs that have been fighting within the last couple of weeks. And we're seeing those tensions rise.
Police say they're also trying to get illegal firearms off the streets, including ghost guns, and so far this year have confiscated 125. Reporting live in Santa Rosa, I'm Alyssa Harrington, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, when you have kids as young as 14 and 15 involved, it's just a heartbreaking story. Alyssa, thank you.
It sounds pretty safe up there unless you're a teenager, I guess.
I guess. I mean, what happened to the adult gangs? But they get them young. That's the whole point, right? I personally did not realize that Santa Rosa was such a hotbed of gang activity. It seemed like at first glance, this story seemed like an example of much ado about not so much with your friendly white neighbors. And Mr. Eyebrows, who's running for city council, obviously talking about coming together, didn't really get me rolling in in a different direction. But yeah, it seems like that's problematic to have 3 teen homicides in a short amount of time. So let's hope maybe this should be under get your shit together, but that'd be kind of disrespectful. But let's hope they get their shit together and get a handle on this. But it just goes to show that gang violence and violence in general, it strikes every community. It doesn't matter how suburban or urban it is.
And it seems like at least the cop was at least the police chief was making the right kinds of noises, right? He's like, we're not going to arrest our way out of this problem. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean they're not going to fucking try anyway.
Right. I mean that you're right, but it's a loaded statement. It's like, well, at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to arrest our way out of this, but we're sure as fuck going to try to.
But we're going to try. We're sure going to try all day anyway. But the person who one of the lady who was saying, hey, we should kind of be keeping an eye on what the graffiti is saying. I don't know that much about it, but I do understand that there are messages being sent and threats being sent sometimes using
tags.
I wouldn't call it graffiti because graffiti is art. This is
tags
and vandalism. Yeah. Because graffiti. You ever seen some of that graffiti in Oakland? I didn't know tag or vandalism. Oh my God.
Not at all. If a real quick movie recommendation for anyone who's into some nice old school movie action from the early 80s, Wild Style. Wild with a Y instead of an I. Wild Style. Check that out. It's a great movie. It's a semi-documentary about graffiti artists in New York City. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
If you can tolerate the loosely knit plot and just focus on the art, it's fun. So check it out. Wild Style. My recommendation for this week.
So speaking of the inner city, here we're going to move to Sunnyvale. Here's apparently somebody was either killed or died at a house party in Sunnyvale that happened at an Airbnb.
There was a shooting of some sort, but I this is sort of new to me too. I hadn't heard it when this first hit. So
Airbnb is not great.
It's a little scary.
It's not great for all kind of reasons.
Well, that's true.
Hello, I'm Juliette Goodrich. Sarah has the night off tonight. Ahead of the holiday weekend and large summer gatherings, one Bay Area family is hoping their story can prevent the type of tragedy that took their son's life. The 18-year-old was killed in 2021 when gunfire erupted at an Airbnb party in Sunnyvale. And while a suspect was arrested a short time later, the victim's grieving parents told our Sean Chitness they believe there are more groups at fault here.
His future is just cut short. It's a bright future. He's a bright kid.
The parents of Elias Elhania say the Northside Branch Library in Santa Clara was one of his favorite places. So on a recent visit almost 2 years since his death, they brought mementos like a book Elias loved to read and this card he made for his mother when he was much younger. His father visited the library many times even after Elias was killed.
I used to come every single day and sit there, and I can see him next to me.
Back in 2021, Elias was at a house party in Sunnyvale. He was shot and later died from his injuries. It's illegal to host an event at a short-term rental, but someone booked the home where up to 200 people showed up, mostly minors drinking alcohol.
Brings all the memories again. It's not easy, it's painful. Really painful.
So the family is working with an attorney on a lawsuit against Airbnb and the property owner. Elias's parents believe both are responsible for his death. They say that property should have never been listed, and if the host of that site was there that night, which is required in Sunnyvale, this never would have happened.
I saw all of the aftermath with my own eyes.
Sunnyvale City Council member Russ Melton remembers that night.
Russ.
It was just 2 blocks away from his home.
This was a traumatic event, and we heard a lot from the community, not only about what happened on the night, but sort of, what's the deal with short-term rentals in Sunnyvale? So that was a topic that City Council took very, very seriously.
While Melton is supportive of the family and their fight to get justice for their son's death, he says Airbnb and other platforms have improved the process since the shooting. Melton believes that short-term rentals are properly enforced in his city. The council recently voted not to spend any more money on the issue because they believe the system is working.
We've taken action. We take this seriously, and I feel like we have a solid grip on the situation.
When revisiting his favorite spots around town, Elias's parents feel his presence.
I can see him everywhere, and I can hear him talking to me, and I talk to him. It's just like I used to.
His smile is always with him since he was a baby until his last days. He's always smiling no matter what.
It's really hard to bury your own son at this age.
A mother and father hoping to prevent more illegal listings from showing up online.
The circumstances shows that it could be avoided, it could be prevented. And I don't want no other family to go through what we're going through.
We don't want anybody on this earth to suffer the loss of their kids.
A way to honor the memory of their son years after they lost him.
It is such a heartbreaking story. So I guess you have to ask, what did Airbnb have to say, or have they?
Right. So, of course, we reached out to the company many times to try to get them to comment on this story. They did not want to, but they did give us a statement that they issued just 2 days after that shooting back in 2021. Here's what it says in part. Airbnb bans parties, and we condemn the senseless gun violence that took place in Sunnyvale. We are working with the Sunnyvale Department of Public Safety to offer our assistance with their investigation.
Yeah, so you've got 3 players in this. We have Airbnb, we have the property owner, and then we have the actual renter. So who is ultimately responsible?
So the family would say their lawsuit is trying to figure that out. It, of course, names Airbnb and the property owner, but the lawyer tells us that they actually don't know who the renter is yet, and they are looking to figure that out.
Okay, so did the property owner who actually put the listing on Airbnb have anything to say about this?
We reached out, of course.
Okay.
The property owner's lawyer said that they do not want to comment at this time, but we need to mention that the city of Sunnyvale has its own lawsuit that does mention the property owner. They, of course, have their policy on short-term rentals. The property owner needs to be on site, but the city's lawsuit does not mention Airbnb.
All right. Well, we appreciate you bringing this to light, especially as we head into the holiday weekend. Sean Chitness, thank you, Sean.
Very detailed.
So more of these, I think cities should just fucking outlaw Airbnb. I don't think this story is like the main reason, but these things are like these are like like somebody was able to rent like a house for a night or 2 nights and throw a party for a bunch of minors who were then drinking and smoking weed.
Right.
I mean, like, this is, of course, in addition to the fact that a lot of people, will purchase a property or even rent a property and then put it on Airbnb and not even fucking live there, right? Which drives up the price of housing for everybody. And
speaking of our previous story, yeah.
And I think that, I think the idea that your house is a hotel has shown to cause a lot of problems.
Well, it does no matter. I mean, it did before Airbnb, right? I think if anything, the only reason Airbnb has been adopted so readily is because it makes it easier. Like you said, it's like a property manager. You're still doing the work, a lot of it, but it's like having a property management system for your rental, right? Your short-term rental. I agree. I think that they are part of the problem, and something needs to be done. Cities are regulating them, but not many have outright banned them. Or at least they've banned maybe the activity that they make their most money off of, so it makes it like financially unviable for them to be in certain cities. But those are few and far between. In this case, I hate to say it, but Airbnb is the last entity that's going to pay for this, right? And again, it's going to have any sort of consequences from this. They're the last ones because
and to be fair, they're kind of last in line if you ask me anyway. First in line is obviously the shooter. Second in line is the person who threw the party, and then the third in line is the person who put the thing up on Airbnb because the city states the owner has to be there if they're
right.
So,
and there's two things here. There's the criminal case, which may still be being investigated, right? Like who shot this kid, right?
Right.
That's the criminal case. Everything else we're talking about is a civil case or a civil suit where it's really the burden of proof is not as high, and it's really about feelings sometimes, but it's also about like you said, who legally who is responsible, even if it's not their criminal responsibility, right? Who allowed this, who was negligible and allowed this to happen. Yeah, and it'll come down to the property owner with the city, the renter with the police and any sort of accomplice action. But yeah, Airbnb will not be paying, and they will not be getting have any consequences from this at all. And they have an entire legal department that they pay very well to make sure that they didn't anyway. But they are last in line, like you said.
And I mean that's fine that they're last in line. I don't think they'll suffer any consequences, and I don't see Sunnyvale banning Airbnbs anytime soon because Sunnyvale, the Sunnyvale is one of those places that's kind of run by the sorts of people who have the disposable income to maybe buy a house for to be an Airbnb instead of like a place where people were living. When HK, the co-host of Intellectual Dollar Tree, lived in Sunnyvale, he didn't know he lived in a single family home and he didn't meet any of his neighbors that owned their houses. They were all renters, and so it's in Sunnyvale. The housing market's pretty fucked up anyway, and so
there are more. There are more renters now on the council, the city council. So Russ there is not representative, I think, of the full city council now. It's gotten younger, it's gotten more progressive, and there are at least 2 renters on the 7-person council now. So that's nice. And they are moving that way, but yeah, it's Sunnyvale. I don't think that they're going to be banning Airbnb anytime soon.
No,
and again, Airbnb would drop their lobbying machine like a bomb on these folks, and they would never know what hit them. And in some cases, I mean, I think we may be headed towards some sort of ballot measure that they front to secure their business for the long term at the state level, because that's what you do in California when you're a big corporation and you don't like what little cities are doing. You just go get some signatures, put it on the ballot, and get your shit state bona fide, and that way no cities can fuck with you at all. So that may be where they go after this. I don't know how much money Airbnb has in the bank, but that'd be what I'd do if I was them.
Prior to all this, you could still rent a room in what was essentially a house for short term. They were like a lot of bed and breakfasts and stuff. It was you just have to go look for a bed and breakfast, and famously in the Castro, Dennis Perone has run a bed and breakfast basically for as long as he's lived there, and I've stayed there. It's great. I would hate to see that turn into like an Airbnb.
Yeah. A lot of it comes out of the property owners and private business, but business decisions. But yeah, there's a lot that governments can do to regulate and have done, and they can do more. So let's keep the heat on them to do more. And we'll talk more about that as we get into campaign season here in San Jose and elsewhere in the coming months.
Well, up next is another fireworks story. Oh my God!
More illegal shit in San Jose. Basically, let's see what happens. This is sort of following up on what happened with the big fire that they thought was fireworks, and lo and behold, it was fireworks.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
New at noon, a major illegal fireworks discovery in San Jose. KTVU's Ann Rubin joins us live with just how many pounds of fireworks were recovered. That was part of an investigation into a fire at a storage facility earlier this month. Ann?
Yeah, authorities say it was that investigation into a storage unit fire back in June that led to the confiscation of all those fireworks and to 2 arrests. Now, the fire happened on June 14th, and it was massive. It was engulfed the public storage facility on Blossom Hill Road in San Jose. Authorities believe it was either started by or exacerbated by a huge amount of illegal fireworks. An investigation by the police department's assaults unit identified 2 suspects, Anthony De Silva and Nathaniel Velasquez. Further search warrants then turned up about 38,000 pounds of illegal fireworks, as well as methamphetamine, cocaine, marijuana, cash, and at least 1 semi-automatic firearm. The boxes of fireworks filled storage units in other buildings at that same facility.
I'm proud of the San Jose Police Department's assaults unit. 38,000 pounds of illegal fireworks is a significant amount. I would say it is the largest in San Jose and one of the largest in California. 38,000 pounds are no longer on the streets of San Jose. That's 1 child who doesn't lose a hand and hopefully 1 house that doesn't burn down.
Just from 38,000 pounds, 1 house?
Custody yesterday.
That's a big
and
house.
have been booked into the
Big
jail.
fucking house.
Authorities say the investigation is ongoing, as well as a separate arson investigation that's being conducted by the fire department. Andre?
Ann Rubin reporting for us live. And thank
I wonder how you how do you safely transport 38,000 pounds of explosives? Like,
it's tenuous, right? Like, did we have the story on Downballot? Maybe we didn't, of the exploding, bomb truck or PD bomb truck in Los Angeles, right? They went to dispose of a explosive, and the freaking bomb truck exploded, or the thing that was supposed to encase it, right? That exploded, and a bunch of houses got burned. Yeah, I don't know how you safely do that, and how do you quantify all that anyway? And plus, there was so much that got, if this was the same case with the fire, like how much was destroyed in the fire, right? Like, oh my God, we're talking like 50,000 pounds of fireworks. So
I mean, they're all in individual boxes. I guess you just do it in a bunch of trips, right? Like with a bunch of.
Is it all was it all illegal fireworks, or were there like snakes mixed in there, or like sparklers? Or was it all just like M80s and rockets and whatnot?
Well, that's a good question, but you get enough of that stuff together and it kind of doesn't matter, honestly,
The world's biggest snake, like that South Park episode. Oh my God. Those things were so lame. I remember like, let's light the snake. And then you look and you light it, and dad lights it or mom lights it, and you're looking at it and you're like, go, go, go. And it's like just a little turd, just like a little turd growing out of the fucking ground and burning, like a burning turd. And it's like, well, that's not very fucking exciting. Give me a sparkler.
But if the San Jose police want to dispose of that weed, I would help them with that.
Oh, I think that that could be a great job. If they really want to, hire more public safety officers, I'd say they can hire the 2 of us, and we'll definitely help them, get rid of that awful weed and keep it from getting on the streets and into the hands of our children.
Oh man! All right. Looks like San Francisco. Not the city of San Francisco necessarily, but driverless taxis. It looks like they need to get their shit together this week.
Correct. We got like 2 stories about it actually. So let's check out what's going on in driverless vehicles this week.
I'm Ryan Yamamoto.
And I'm Elizabeth Cook. We begin with an increasingly familiar sight in the streets of San Francisco: driverless cars. The California Public Utilities Commission was supposed to vote tomorrow on allowing robotaxis for 2 of the leading companies, Cruise and Waymo. Unlimited expansion on city streets. But the vote was pushed back to July 13th.
That potential expansion is making some first responders a little nervous, and Jose Martinez is live in San Francisco with what they're saying. Jose.
And a fancy turtleneck.
Well, this is definitely becoming an issue, so city officials are asking companies like Waymo and Cruise to take more time to work with them to have conversations about safety before the state allows this unlimited expansion of the service.
Blocking emergency, medical, and fire. I gotta get it out of here now.
Incidents like this one, involving a self-driving car stuck in the middle of an emergency, are becoming a headache for city officials.
Currently, we just have an escalating number of incidents that are not life-threatening at this moment, but are impeding our ability to respond effectively.
Hey, you go first.
SF Fire Department Assistant Deputy Chief Darius Luthrop says it's time for companies like Cruise and Waymo to take a break.
These cars are in the street learning. It's like these cars are in school right now, and we don't feel like they're quite ready to expand to the level they want to expand to. We've asked to kind of get more insight into the process of developing their modes of operation.
These concerns come to light as the California Public Utilities Commission gets ready to vote to allow the unlimited expansion of these robotaxis on public streets.
Go give that fucking car a ticket.
But experts in vehicle safety like Philip Koopman say the commission should place more requirements before approving this expansion.
These companies deployed without a...
Didn't you to leave when the fucking ticket person came?
Right. That's how it's programmed. See parking enforcement.
Services, public safety services. And so in response, they should improve safety by doing something to stop that disruption.
So his suggestion is?
The obvious way to do is to put someone in the vehicles all the time until they can get these problems solved, then take them back out. But if they have another way to do it, that's fine too, right? All I know is it's not working right now and something needs to change.
According to the SFMTA, the number of reported incidents involving Cruise and Waymo in March and April was almost triple what it was in the prior 2 months.
So three.
Also recommend incremental expansion instead of 24-hour service across the entire city. We reached out to Cruise and Waymo for comments. Waymo responded saying, "We navigate and interact with active emergency vehicles, EVs, day and night smoothly. The vast majority of these often challenging and complex encounters have been without issues." Now, this pressure, like you both mentioned, is working because this vote was postponed for July 13th. Back to you, Ryan.
All right, thanks, Jose. And
I just like that the fucking car seemed to, as soon as the person, I want to think that person was coming there to put a ticket on the car. I know that's probably not what was going on, but that's kind of what it looked like. You know, the meter person or whatever came up.
Oh, for sure. We interact with emergency vehicles all day long, and when the meter maid comes, we run. Waymo. I want to hear the next story specifically about Waymo and a journalist sort of Mr. Toad's wild ride in a Waymo car. But I hate to say it, but I'm kind of siding with the RoboCar people on this one. Like, there are so many more accidents and deaths and serious injuries that are caused by dumbass humans who don't know how to fucking drive, or just driving drunk, or driving without paying attention, driving distracted, or just driving and they're just dumb. And every day people are dying all over the place, and we don't hear about all those incidences unless like it involves like a kid getting run over on the sidewalk, right? So I think, again, it's not much to do about nothing. We absolutely should make sure that these vehicles are well regulated and they're doing everything they should. But it's kind of like disingenuous to say, well, you know, this is not working at all, when the humans are causing so much more havoc in these cars. Are we going to ban cars? That's really what we should be talking about.
I mean, I'm with it. Didn't when Jello Biafra ran for mayor of San Francisco, didn't he propose banning cars in downtown?
100%, yeah. So if we're going to talk about, you know, banning other types of, guns, and or at least controlling guns and controlling who can have guns more, restricting that more, you know, it doesn't take much to get control of a car, right? Like, you know, a license doesn't come as hard as it used to. You don't even have to parallel park in your test. I can't believe that. You just have to drive straight basically for 5 seconds and you get a license. So yeah, maybe we should do more looking into the humans that cause fucking accidents rather than the robots. Not that I'm all a fan of AI or robots taking over our jobs.
Well, but let's see what Susan from the Homeowners Association, what a TV journalist has to say about her ride in a Waymo self-driving car in San Francisco.
My first stop is a random museum, and Maybe I'll go to another stop. Okay, here we go. Says your car is on the way in 4 minutes. Oh, there it is. I see it. I guess I shouldn't wave because what's the point, right? What's the point? Oh,
Why wave?
I'm here. Oh.
It's just stopped in the middle of the road.
Like, where are you, bitch? You said you were going to get this dress.
Watch it drive away now.
Okay.
She's probably like, oh, I typed the wrong address. I'm sorry.
At the Random Museum. I thought it was going to feel like unsafe because, my life is in this car's hand, the computer. But actually, I feel like really chillax. So what I do like is that it's following the speed limit, so it's very safe. And when it comes to a stop, it does a complete stop, not like a California stop, like we all do. No, like everything, it's something new.
We all break the law. Shh.
Okay, I think we're stopped. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. All right, right now there's a green light and nothing is happening. We are stuck. And not only that, we're not even on the left-hand side properly. Uh-oh. Okay, it says our team is working to get you moving. Uh-oh. It was green light. It didn't know what to do. So how can I rely on a car to make the right decisions?
Your Uncle Larry may not make the right decisions.
Here we go. Woo!
Hey, there you go. It's moving again. Wow.
Hey, Max. We're almost there. Oh, this is weird. This is not where we're going. This is not where the Random Museum is.
For your safety, the doors will remain locked.
How do you know?
So I guess it's a little confused because this is not where the Random Museum is.
Oh no.
I don't know what to do at the moment. Had there been a driver right here, I would have said, hey, this is the wrong location, and I would give him the instructors, except that there's instructions. There's nobody here right now. Now I'm going to have to call support and see what I could do because I'm completely at a loss right now.
You could have taken the bus.
The location where I want to be is over there, and it's
on the other side of the street.
At the bottom of this hill.
Connected to rider support.
Go ahead and open your Waymo app. Okay, so go ahead and tap on your current drop-off.
Okay, which is Random Museum, and it says 5-minute walk after drop-off. I would have to go up the hill and around the block.
Go to the map to fine-tune the location. So you'll go ahead.
Let me see. Hold on.
You can just walk 5 minutes.
Confirm it and see what happens.
I'd be like, okay, computer, here's fine. This is enough of this story. I don't care that it's like, if she was like, across town and it took her 5 minutes. Lady, sometimes if you would have taken the bus, it would have been a 5-minute walk, maybe to the museum.
Or I could have dropped you off right in front. Who knows? Yeah, I was just confused. Like, Google Maps or other apps get when you're in like a hilly place, right? And there's a windy road and the address you're going to is like right there, but it's like up, 10 flights of stairs across the street, right? And you can't, you're not going to access it that easy. So this happens, but it's like, okay, you obviously gave the car very confusing directions, and maybe it's your fault, lady. Maybe it's human error. Maybe you didn't put the right address in. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But somebody in chat just said, well, what if they expected her to walk through all those cactuses?
Oh man, painful. She was chillaxed. I'm sure she'd be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there was a problem there. I'm more concerned about like the fact that it stopped and got confused, and
right.
like, because like you're saying, humans are also sharing the road with these cars, and so what I see happening there, if this car just stops at a green light, some human who's not fucking paying attention is going to plow into the thing.
Correct. Or other humans who are not like really attentive are going to be like, oh, what's that? And stop as well. And then everyone stops and it's freaking chaos, right?
Everybody's going to rubberneck to be like, why isn't this car going anywhere? Or, or someone might try to go around it in a dangerous way and cause an accident.
Yeah. And if anyone who's been in, and it's just the basic traffic, right? Anyone who's been in traffic knows that traffic is not a function necessarily of how many cars are on the road or the size of the road or the number of lanes in the road. It's the number of dumbasses who don't know how to merge, who don't know how to change lanes, who hit their brakes when they shouldn't, who cause backups because they don't know how to drive, and they get into tight spots and they have to maneuver around last minute, and that causes backups, and the backups cause backups, and backups cause backups. And yeah, suddenly there's traffic. So yeah, that to me is the most annoying factor of it. I don't think anyone's going to necessarily get die as a result of that, but you're right. Like someone could just very easily plow into one of these things while it's not moving.
Yeah, or I don't understand. Like they're like, oh, let's test these in San Francisco.
Right. Very good point.
Like it's a challenge.
That's on Lombard Street.
it's a pretty challenging. Like even for like very good drivers, conscientious people who are paying attention and are maybe not from San Francisco but are used to driving in traffic. They get to San Francisco, they're like, what the fuck?
Right. Or like a Boston where like, the blocks are not squares or triangles, right? And streets like just dead end out of nowhere, right? Like
and what do you think this thing
challenging city?
What do you think this thing would do if it saw a roundabout?
Hopefully it would yield to oncoming traffic in the roundabout. I would hope, but we'll see. I'm guessing they might have programmed it for that there's enough roundabouts out there now, even in San Jose.
Roundabouts are great.
Well, most people don't know what to call them. You and I are using the proper terminology, but I've heard so many different phrases for it that it's obvious people have no idea what they are.
Spin-a-bob.
Spin and bob, the roundy thing, the circle in the street. The street circle
in the street.
The circles, the street. That was my baby. No, I'm kidding. The street circle, right? Well, get your shit together and figure it out. Self-driving cars. But I don't blame you necessarily for violence and death yet. We'll see.
All right, well, let's move to Downballot Watch. This is where we cover stuff that is explicitly political. Most local issues are political, but this is like definitely like usually involves a mayor or a city council. So we got the area businesses in the Tenderloin aren't super enthused about the crackdown that's happening by the local and state government. Let's see what they have to say about that.
Let's do it.
San Francisco officials now focusing efforts on cracking down on open-air drug use. Governor Newsom announcing more law enforcement is on its way to the city's hotspots. Our Betty Yu joins us live with those details. Betty.
Ryan, I spoke to one mid-market bar owner today who says that there's not a day that goes by that he goes to work and doesn't witness drug activity. In fact, he says he's callous to all of it right now, but he says over the years, enforcement in this area has come in waves. He hopes that this crackdown will be long-lasting. Governor Gavin Newsom announced that he's doubling the number of CHP officers to about 14 to help SFPD in the Tenderloin and Soma neighborhoods.
That the taps are clean and fresh.
Jacob Shibashevsky, who owns a fermentation lab on Market Street, says he's still waiting to see any noticeable change.
I'm happy that they're doing something. I wish there was more that could be done.
Jesus, by a vowel.
For 11 years, and nothing's ever really changed.
Newsom said since the crackdown began in May, the CHP, in partnership with National Guard data analysts, has seized significant amounts of fentanyl, firearms, and stolen goods.
We want to build on that early success because we recognize the scale and the opportunity and the responsibility to do more to help support cities like San Francisco address quality of life issues.
Jacob says crime in the mid-market area has worsened post-pandemic.
Folks that visit us from other neighborhoods or are coming here to maybe watch a play at the Orpheum Theater that's right around the corner, they don't feel safe. And you can tell very easily that they're not, they're on the edge.
In the last week, SFPD data shows that officers made 18 citations or arrests for drug violations in the Tenderloin area.
My plea would be, just like everybody else, would love more police presence. But not only that.
Well, now I know where not to get a beer.
There to be repercussions for crimes.
The mayor's office said not one of the people arrested for public drug use since May to mid-June accepted offers of treatment after they were released. Jacob said business closures in the area, including the hotel across the street and Whole Foods, have thinned the crowd.
Especially international tourists. There were so many French folks, German folks that we used to see, and we don't see them anymore.
And the governor also talked about Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi's federal operation to combat this crisis. We should expect in the next 2 to 3 months DEA and FBI to join the resources on the ground. Ryan?
And Betty, so what kind of things does Jacob actually see out there?
Well, he says, over the years when these drug users have often wandered into his business, it's up to himself or his staff members to physically remove them or ask them to leave. They simply can't rely on police officers because there aren't enough of them. He also said that his car has been broken into, which came as no surprise to him. And every time he visits a local bodega or market, he says he witnesses rampant shoplifting.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating for a lot of those mom and pop businesses. Betty Yu, thank you very much. Part of the mayor's plan to address the drug crisis is to force more people into drug treatment. And the data shows why that may be easier said than done. At last check, there are only 6 shelter beds available for withdrawal management citywide, and only one of those spaces is for a woman. And there are similar shortages in residential treatment programs and transitional programs.
Well,
right.
Well,
hey, you want treatment?
Just send more cops then.
Yeah, of course. Like what is it? They refused when they were offered treatment. What was this like? Hey, here's your personal effects. You want treatment? Here's your drugs back. You want treatment? Like, that's not an offer of treatment. It's not helping anybody, right? This is arrest. You're not going to arrest your way out of this problem. Absolutely not. You're not going to police your way out of this problem. This is just like, it's the war on drugs. I don't know why. I don't understand why this is such news, right? Like, we've been dealing with this forever, for decades. Like, this is not working. This whatever you want to call it, demand side confrontation is not going to work. Even a supply side confrontation is not going to work. You need to systemically, work to make drugs non-palatable, or at least these kind of drugs, right? And weed them out from the very beginning. No pun intended. Get these kids smoking weed. Who knows? But yeah, we're going about it entirely the wrong way, and it's not surprising that it's not going to have any effect. But that's not going to stop, Jared or whatever, Mr. Craft Beer from Jason from complaining. No matter what happens, right? Something's got to be done. Oh, they're doing something. Not enough is being done. Well, and now we're going to hear about sort of, and the next story we'll hear the tale of two cities.
Oh man, yeah. I guess where do they? Anyway, this one's about San Jose and supposed open air drug use. This
I see it all the time.
I see people smoking a joint walking down the street all the time too, but I like that. I'm like, hey,
I'm the one doing it. I'm the one doing it.
That's
they
probably
want to crack down on the councilman. Come on.
Let's see what San Jose is doing about it, or what Mayor Ed 209 wants to do about it.
Struggling just to survive. Several business owners in downtown San Jose tell us that they're hoping the city's renewed crackdown on open-air drug use will actually save their livelihoods. NBC Barry's Damien Trujillo has been looking into the issues in downtown San Jose and found the struggles on the street are impacting stores and the restaurants around them.
Many downtown merchants tell me it's been difficult to survive after the pandemic. Now add the drug dealing and other issues, and they say it's become virtually impossible. For a Holy Cannoli Cafe in downtown San Jose, issues began piling up. It peaked when Jamie Whitmire was robbed at gunpoint almost 3 months ago.
Oh, I've had PTSD ever since. Yeah, so since then, that's the second time I've been robbed here in downtown San Jose.
Soon after, Jamie closed her cafe on Santa Clara Street next to City Hall, saying the drugs and the vagrants drove her out of business at that location. But she kept her catering business open.
So it's scary. It's scary for me to come in, and it's scary for me to leave. It doesn't matter what time it is.
Holy Cannoli is not alone. Adjacent businesses also have padlocks on their doors. Frank the barber hopes they're not next.
It's been really tough. So, we're hanging on by a thread ourselves. So
the barbershop has been part of downtown for more than a decade. But the owner says the economic downturn, coupled with the increasing incidence of open-air drug use by the unhoused and others on his block, are driving away customers.
We've had people smoking meth pipes right here in the doorways, with the businesses shut down.
City Hall tells me the downtown vacancy rate is now at roughly 7 to 9%. They shared this map with me showing the available commercial space in the area.
We've got to tackle this problem.
Over the weekend, the mayor and police chief took action after our reporting on the issue, including video compiled by local residents showing drug dealing and using at all hours. The mayor vowed drug dealers will be arrested and prosecuted. Foot patrols became more visible, and the city response to our reporting has given Holy Cannoli new hope. Jamie is now going to give her cafe one more shot.
And there's a continuous cycle of cops patrolling is awesome. I love to hear that they're taking them off the streets.
Damian Trujillo, NBC Bay Area News.
So I think the reason that San Jose isn't coming back after the worst of the pandemic is that downtown San Jose just doesn't have a lot to offer. You know what I mean? There's just not a lot going on there. There's not that interesting a place.
It's a reciprocal relationship, right? And it's a chicken and the egg kind of a thing. Like you need a place for people to go. People will go there, and the demand from all those people will create more great places and spaces, right? And that and it's just never really, you and I both know from at our age, we've never really hit that critical mass in downtown San Jose as much as folks have wanted to or had aspirations to try, right? We just never really hit that point, and pandemic didn't help. But I think we were having struggles with that long before, and the branding of downtown long before that. So maybe things will change, but
I think a lot of it comes down to like when I moved to San Jose, downtown was a fucking police state. Like you'd go out on Friday or Saturday night and there'd just be cops everywhere as you left the bars. And then the city got a reputation outside of the city for that shit, where you get harassed by the fucking cops on your way out of like going to an event. And so people didn't want to go there. That stopped. Right. It's no longer like that, but maybe they got what they wanted. Maybe they wanted to chase out all the fucking nightlife, but then, sometimes that's unintended consequence. The unintended consequences of chasing out all the people that are going to go there at night is you probably you probably accidentally chased out a bunch of people who might have otherwise gone there in the evening. Right. You create what you're trying to achieve. I mean, they created. You're right. They created a police state. They created too pristine or too clean of a downtown, right? And it's not a place where people want to go and hang out. It's a place where you roll up the sidewalks at 9 p.m. and everyone goes home after they have had a nice dinner. No one's staying out to hang out, go to the club, go to the bar, go to see the band, go to the movies. Shit, go to the midnight movie, right? Go to see Rocky Horror Picture Show like you used to be able to. You just never really been that place. I was like, one of the things, like when I moved to Campbell, I was like kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, everything stays open late here. I was like, what the fuck is this?
You walk on the street and you just bounce place to place, check out new things, right? All the time.
Stagger home. The police don't even bother you. Like,
right. Who's playing at the Cardiff, right? Like, I hear something, let's go down there and check it out. Like, it's just not like that. There have been fits and starts and things in little pockets, but it's never really been a cohesive feel and vibe. And we're all responsible for that, but I think that there's a lot that can be done by the city and by local businesses and the local economic engines to fix that and to make it more hospitable to these kind of places developing. That will bring the people will bring the demand, and more spaces will develop, and suddenly you've got this great economic base too downtown that's generating tax revenue that you can then invest in your small businesses, right? Like it's the most reciprocal relationship of anything in civics and in government is this sort of the entertainment, artistic, tourism complex where we can all sustain our city by engaging in our city, but you have to make the city engaging in the first place, right? And spend the money to make the money. So,
and I mean, not for nothing too. When I lived in San Francisco for a time, I would go out and I'd meet people from all over the fucking world. Most of the time I met local, most of the people I ran into were local San Franciscans, and I lived in the Castro, and a lot of Castro lifers, but you go to you go to 1015 Folsom, and the DJ would be from Germany, and you'd meet a fucking cool lady from France who you know 5 French words, and she makes fun of you because her English is way better than your French, and like these are like the cool experiences you get in like a cosmopolitan place. And San Jose, with all of its business, with so many people traveling here for business to do business here, if there was like a downtown for them to go to, or if there was like a club district, I think you'd end up with that eventually. But I'm not holding my fucking breath.
You'd have more businesses coming here to do business. Funny that you should mention German and French, because that's what that beer tender was saying. Like, we don't get any French or German people around anymore because of all the rampant drug use.
Oh, maybe he caused me to say that, but
possibly.
Anyway. Notice which countries he chose.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
He didn't say, there used to be a lot of Saudis coming through here. Or
Norway, and Swedish
Norway.
people, and Icelandic people. This couple from Greenland was awesome. Anyway, I know we're getting up on it, but I wanted to follow up. I thought it was good that we found this piece because we talked a couple weeks ago about the end of public transportation in California, potentially. Well, it looks like it's saved for now, but we'll see for how long.
A state budget deal now reached, and lawmakers say it protects California's investments. The agreement comes after weeks of deliberations, though, as Governor Gavin Newsom aims to support a future really focused on public education, health care, public safety, and public transportation. The governor agreed to $5.1 billion in spending over the next few years. So the money for BART and the other transit agencies in the state will include about $1 billion in new spending. The funding is just part of what transit agencies were asking for as a way to really help them recover from a steep ridership decline since COVID, which put them at risk of having to severely cut back on services. The same day this budget deal was approved, though, Senator Scott Wiener announced a new proposal that calls for all of us to pay more just to cross Bay Area bridges. This could raise tolls another $1.50 for 5 years, with the money going to Bay Area transit agencies.
For the 7 state-owned bridges, that's all the Bay Area bridges except for the Golden Gate Bridge, which is its own entity. It will increase tolls by $1.50 over a 5-year period. That will generate over 5 years about $900 million and will help us avoid cuts.
If his proposal is approved, it would cost $8.50 next year to cross most Bay Area bridges. While this is just a proposal right now, we still wanted to know how commuters are feeling about it.
Well, I think there needs to be a conversation, especially including those who have to do the commute, those who will be actually paying the tolls, as opposed to just people who are pushing the legal paperwork.
Obviously, we'll see how far Senator Wiener's proposal goes in this approval process. As for that budget deal, Newsom says it prioritizes the needs of people in the state while keeping the state on strong economic footing.
That doesn't sound like $900 million over 5 years ain't shit.
At the state level, no, especially with the costs. I mean, like that'll be like 1 mile of track of the high-speed rail, right? I don't understand. How is it possible that almost every time they go for the man or woman on the street, they're always Filipino? I don't get it. Like they just must be the most friendly, like outgoing, like, yeah, I'll talk to you, news person. Whereas the angry Karen white lady's like, I got somewhere to be. Don't bother me. I'm getting my gas.
I liked his necklace.
Oh yeah, they're super friendly folks. Like I'm married to one of them. It's just and she's pointed it out to me a million times, like how often they pop up. I'm like, you know what? I never thought about it before. But watch the local news in the Bay Area, and good Lord, it's like 1 out of 2 people on the street are Filipino. I guarantee it if you count it up. Anyway, side note.
So we're gonna kind of plow through the next 2 stories. Actually, let's skip this first one here. This first one's awful. Let's do the second one.
Yeah, that's the one that you found is much better. I saw bees and I thought another thing, but it's kind of bad actually. So
yeah, I saw that story about the bees too, and I was like, I'm not putting that on the docket. The council can do that if he wants. Anyway, this is pretty cool. There's a Bay Area roller skater put out a new short film about roller skating. That's pretty fucking cool. Have you ever seen that? It's kind of like a companion event to Bike Party, where it's like a roller skate party.
I have not. I didn't realize there was one. Does it roll with them or like behind them or same night or different night?
What happens, the way it works is the Bike Party folks are in front and back, kind of to like provide a buffer for traffic, basically between the roller skaters and the cars.
Interesting. Okay.
It's,
I'm down.
Bike Party, the Bike Party organization does a lot more than just throw a bike party. I mean, they are literally out there trying to keep the roller skate party safe. Plus, the Bike Party was first, so they have more experience with this kind of stuff and whatnot too. So
they're very helpful like that.
Yeah, just the best people. That's one of the things I'm really going to miss when I leave San Jose. Fucking Bike Party.
Let's hear about We Skate in the new documentary or film.
We skate.
So skating has always been a popular trend, but the fun activity found a second life during the pandemic. Skating quickly became an outlet for people searching for a way out of the house and for friends to connect with. So last year, one Bay Area roller skater and filmmaker decided to document the skate renaissance. Today, his documentary titled We Skate has been accepted into 2 film festivals, and in one of them, his film has been nominated for Best Short Film. So this morning, we're joined by that filmmaker behind We Skate, Eric Webb. Good morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is very exciting. I also started skating a lot more, especially during the pandemic, and it was more.
She roller skates? That's cool.
People, so I can.
She's like, I have a black friend.
Surgeons came with it. So what inspired it?
I hope she roller discos down the street. Honestly,
though, to turn this hobby of yours into a documentary, because a lot of us have hobbies, but we're not going to go that far with it, which is really neat.
That's true. I found myself going to these skate events so often, and I realized the community that I was meeting there, we were all coming from a lot of different backgrounds, and I was thinking like how special this time was that we had together during the pandemic, during a time where all of us were so isolated, and the fact that we had such community and felt a real belonging with one another. I wanted to capture this and share it with everybody else.
And skating really takes people from all walks of life too and puts them together. It's not just one type of group or generation. It's people of all types, which that's what I love about it. So it's always been an extremely popular activity. And looking back to the 80s, I actually did this story with Richard Humphrey and the Golden Rollers. I think we have the video of that, but they're perfect examples of that rich history right here in the Bay Area. And he has such a great story himself. There he goes. This is when he was teaching me some of his moves. So how does the past
look roller disco
impact this?
Line dancing.
Of course. Richard Humphrey is very well known within the skate community. Myself, I'm a pandemic skater. I did a little skating when I was younger, but I'm
so it really was a new thing
skater.
for you in the pandemic.
Pretty much.
That's amazing.
Yeah, me as well as a lot of other people. We were out here, and it was great to be able to learn from the OGs, the people that have been doing this for quite some time.
I mean, what made you want to pick up skates then, of all things?
It was really just something to pass the time. There wasn't a ton to do. I was working at a job and just going to school at the time, and I really needed something to get out of the house and stay active. The first time I went to my first skate event, I was there from 4 p.m. and I didn't leave till 1 a.m. And I was so tired the next day, but I wanted to go back immediately, and I knew I was hooked after that.
Yeah, I know. It's such a great vibe from all the people that are always there. Okay, so your premiere coming up this weekend, July 2nd. So where's it going to be? Where can we get tickets?
Of course. So tickets are going to be in person July 2nd at the New Parkway Theater in downtown Oakland on 24th Street. It's going to be from 1:30 to 2:30. And then I'm also going to be sharing the stage with a good friend of mine, Darius, Our Voices. He's going to be showing a skate film that he made while he did a study abroad in Prague.
Interesting. So that's going to be great to see that two together. All right, Eric Webb, thank you so much. Definitely check out the premiere this Sunday at the New Parkway Theater in downtown Oakland. All tickets are donation based.
Glad we didn't do the bees story.
Yeah, no, that was much better. And we needed a happy one. I think we've had a couple of real downer and other things the last couple of weeks. That's my fault. So I'll be on the lookout for more happy stories, because we got to laugh here on the 11th best news podcast in California sometime.
Yeah. And by the way, they were asking for money. They wanted me to give them money to like.
Oh man, I went and tagged them and everything. I wasted a Twitter tag on them. Bastards. Bassages. Well, whatever.
We're still gunning for whoever number 10 was.
Yeah, I forget John Legate or something, or Lagate, but and then there's the California Report at number 9. So I think that should be our big target there. If we can get in the top 10 and then get that KQED action going on, then we've got something. We're gonna have more than one listener probably by that point.
Hopefully.
I know we have more than one listener. If you've been listening for a long time, listeners, you know that it's an inside joke. But there are 4 of you, and we're really proud of all of you.
The 4 of you that listen on the podcast should actually join the order of magnitude more who are often tuned in live. You'd feel some more camaraderie.
There you go.
For a change, maybe I'll close the show out. This has been Downballot, everybody. We do the show live again every Friday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Support would be great right now. I'm moving and like a few things for the studio. You can go to echoplexmedia.com/support to find ways to support us. There's and of course you can just share this show with your friend and maybe they'll give us money instead. This is Audible Smoke Signal. This song is called Locals. It's about San Jose at a time when there was more entertainment happening in San Jose. And everybody who's listening or watching live, hang out. I'm going to reconfigure the studio, change the color of the lights, change the contents of my beverage, and we're going to go into conspiracy bingo. See you next week, Councilman.
Peace out.
Time to get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing green. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. Now get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink, spark it if you got it, and then pass it to me, yeah. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside? I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the U.S. economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back.